to get that angle right for your gauntlet, you want something that'll match your fist and the contour of your knuckles. In the glove, of course. If you got padding, they'll throw it out a bit. Now, because this is my second one, to make sure that they are even, I can simply have it going the opposite way, place it on there to make sure it has the same angles to it. Now I've just got to do this little extra piece here by rounding it the same way I did the first corner with the pipe in the vise. So I've got my piece finished and I put my glove on. My glove with the finger plates on it. I put it over the top, marked out where the knuckles were. Then I looked at where those rawhide straps were, and I lined up where I would need to put holes to have each one of those straps in line with a knuckle. These knuckles. So I marked them out. Then I measured out about half a centimetre away from the edge. That's actually a bit closer than the way I did it on my last gauntlet. It's probably a bit closer than I really want, to be honest. Probably should be a little bit further down that way. But then I put holes in those bits of rawhide just past the end of the last knuckle plate, and as you can see, I've now got my nails sticking up through them. Now I just got to feed these nails through the holes, and there we have it. Alright, so time to piece together the body of the gauntlet. Now I've already gone ahead and shaped all the pieces just to show you what the end result looks like. This is the piece just behind that piece, not the bridging piece, but you'll see. I'll show you. That piece needs to be tapered inwards to contour with the hand, and I simply do that by having one of the fault lines tapering inwards. Now you want the front of it to match up with the back of this piece, so the two of them are flush, having all the same angles. You also want to make sure that it's not too narrow. You want to be able to have your thumbs out at a comfortable angle. Down in too far, it's just not comfortable. Now you can put a hinge there so that the thumb plates can move up and down, and that gives you a lot more flexibility and would make putting these on a lot easier. But for this design I've just got a point of articulation, so it articulates in that plane. So if you added a hinge to it, it would articulate in that plane and that plane. Now we then need a piece to bridge that gap, which is our knuckle piece. This is our knuckle plate. See, there's the rider plate, there's the knuckle plate, there's the back of the hand. So basically it articulates like that. So hopefully a lot better once it's got the rivets in. And it's very important where you put the holes for the rivets. You want to position them so that the plates can move that way, but lock out before they hyperextend. You want to find the point where they lock out and cannot articulate any further, and that will let you know where you need to put the rivet for the point of articulation. Now you want to do the holes on the knuckle plate first, just so you can find the point on the inner pieces of plate to then mark them out with a thin tip pen and then make sure that they can still rotate around that point and articulate at that point. Then you can drill out the holes to put your rivet through. You want to be really careful with this, because if they're out by a few millimeters, it can wreck the whole project. So you want to be precise with where you put your rivets. So we've got these 2 points. So we've got the back of the hand plate, the rider plate that's already on there, we've got the knuckle plate. Next to these 2, there's this plate, which pretty simple, just goes over the wrist, goes on like that. Pretty simple. They're overlapping, and these will be connected by riveting them to a rawhide strap, 1 on each side, and 1 straight down the middle. Now, you want the middle one to not be able to move too far, and you'll notice they've got these lines running down them, the fold lines. That's basically a continuation of the shaping of the rider plate going around your knuckles. I just keep those creases coming down along the arm, except for the center crease, which I keep trying to get to bring it a bit closer over to the center of the plate for the final piece, which again is held on by 3 straps, which goes on here. Now, this needs to flare out, because a lot of your movement in your gauntlet actually comes from this sitting loose over the van brace. See, the van brace and your arm armor goes in underneath this. This flares out over the top of it, and needs to be a bit flexible so you can move your wrist. Not so much in that direction as much as in that direction, depending on how much give you have for the straps. You can have as much or as little movement in that articulation as you want. Now, honestly, there are better ways of articulating a wrist. There are some brilliant examples of articulated wrists done purely with rivets. Each plate is riveted to the next with a sliding rivet, and you can get some awesome flexibility out of that. Those are awesome. I went with a strap and rivet construction just because that's simple. I've done it on previous gauntlets, and well, I've been working on this design so long, I just wanted to get it done. So I just want something a bit quicker, a bit easier. Those leather straps, or in my case rawhide straps, depending on how much slack and give they've got in them, it can actually separate and can actually open up and present a gap. Though these, I've fitted them nice and tight to each other, so there's very little gap to begin with. I've also taken rawhide strap and super glued it around the edge. That's the contact surface. This is predominantly so that the moving plates don't scratch up the paintwork, but also has the added benefit of noise reduction. All I need to do is now put in the rivets. Already drilled out all the holes for them, and make the 3 straps. Alright, so I've done the thumb basically the same way I do that section of finger. You just need to make sure you do it wide enough to fit your thumb inside of it, obviously. So, yeah, use a wider diameter to curve it around. Actually, I use the same diameter, and then I put it over a pole I lightly hammer it with the rubber mallet to wind it back up. So now I've got that thumb stitched on, and I've drilled a hole at that tip on the side of the gauntlet. That is so I can now put the gauntlet on and look at where they line up, and where your thumb plate ends up lining up with that hole. You want to play around with it, try holding on to stuff with it to see where it's comfortable to have a point of articulation on this thumb plate. Once you've figured out where you want to have that thumb articulating around, you get that spot, you mark it out through the hole. Then you want to take your gauntlet back off and drill that hole out. Now, something different about this articulation point is we want to have a little bit of wiggle in it. So I'm putting in a rawhide washer. You could also use leather, but I'm using raw. So drill a hole, a piece of leather, just gonna basically turn it into a washer. So now I've got the nail through the thumb plate, through the little rawhide washer, and up through the hole we put in the side of the gauntlet. So now we're just going to take the tip off the nail and hammer it down to rivet it. Don't want to do it too tight, just want it to mushroom out on the top. So, you know, working around the edge of the top of the nail so it mushrooms out and can't slide out through, as opposed to we don't want to really squash it down heavily. And there we go. Now you could, like I've said several times, put a hinge there so that this will move up and down. Then you'll have it able to move in that plane and that plane, which, yeah, could help you in combat, but also could make it a bit more comfortable to get this thing on, I would imagine. Now, one last thing that needs to be done on this gauntlet. You need to have some way of holding down the body of this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of steel as wide as that central piece there and curve it around, put a hinge on it right on the top side, because that's the side that's going to receive more blows from sort of stuff, and you know, have a little buckle on the bottom so I can buckle it shut. And that's how I'm going to do it. Now you could, if you just want these for display or for fantasy, you know, attach a few straps and close up with straps that way. No, I'm going to skip showing you that because I've been working on these for months. I just want to get the video up. And that'll be this done for now. Once I've done the arm and the van brace, then I can work out how big I want the opposite half of this plate here to be. See, once I do the van brace, which goes in underneath, they'll let me know how much wider this needs to be to encircle it and still allow me to have wrist movement. Because a lot of your wrist movement does come from your gauntlet actually moving like that. Because of the way I've actually constructed it. Yes, there is movement in it,